Welcome to the channel, Jason here. And in this video, this is going to kind of kick off the fitness health category. And I'm going to talk about the transformation of how I went from this guy to this guy, which is where I'm at now. Essentially, it was like a 40 to 50 pound weight loss. And I went from a plus 20% body fat down to a sub 10% body fat. Now I'm not below 10% right now in this image. I'm probably fairly close to it. I'm probably in the somewhere between 10 and 12, but I'm fairly lean. But I want to talk about this transition. This video is going to talk about the working out aspect of it. I'll have a whole separate video that talks about food, supplements, the diet aspect, which is a huge part of it as well. But a lot of this video here, during a lot of the transformation, I was actually vegetarian, and then I kind of converted back into omnivore. So I'll talk about that and where that happened in this transformation. And again, in my diet, the eating aspect of this, I'll cover all that kind of in more detail. So let's kind of get to how am I here, where I'm at here, where I'm at that starting point. And that is in 2020, and obviously COVID hit, and I kind of started off 2020 in fairly decent shape. I wasn't too bad. I was going to the gym regularly, but then I was living in California, and then COVID hit and shut everything down. And so this is towards the end of the year, it's like September-ish of 2020, where I hadn't worked out in a very long time. My shirt's off because I just came back from the gym, was taking it off just to kind of get a shot, because I was like, I need to start tracking my progress of how I get back into shape. And this was, they had opened up outdoor training, so I paired up with a personal trainer, met at a park to help hold me accountable. It was actually someone I was working with before COVID. So we go to the park and he put me through some workouts and stuff. So this is me kind of getting back into it. I'm probably somewhere between 190 and 200 in this image. And ultimately, I started doing some workouts in the park. To kind of fast forward this to get to the next spot, is ended up moving to Texas at the end of 2020. So there was like a 3 to 4 month period where I did no working out to do the move. And at the beginning of 2021, January, I was in Texas. I was fully moved. And that was kind of where I picked back up in my fitness journey to kind of start getting in shape. So I joined a gym. And what I wanted to do when I got to Texas is, all right, I want to get to the gym regularly. I want to work out before work. I enjoyed having a personal trainer to help hold me accountable, but I don't want that aspect. I'll do a group. I'm looking for some kind of group fitness that I can do. It involves weightlifting, involves the stuff that's kind of you kind of get the best of both worlds. You have accountability, but you also have freedom of not necessarily being tied to a personal trainer. So I joined a gym. And it turns out, I did not know this at the time, but turns out it was a CrossFit gym, okay? So I had never done CrossFit. It did not say CrossFit in the name. There was no description that said CrossFit. It just said high intensity workouts on a regular basis. Apparently they used to say CrossFit, but they stopped paying the CrossFit affiliate fee or something, so they couldn't have the word CrossFit on their website or in their name. So anyway, bottom line is, it was, I'm glad, because I probably would not have joined the gym if I'd known they were CrossFit, because I was like, CrossFit. I had never done it, but I just heard all these weird things about it. After going through the first couple classes that first week, I was like, all right, I love this. This is great stuff. I love the variety. I love the intensity. I was working out at a high intensity. I really enjoyed it. I knew it was going to get me in shape. The timing, I was going to a 6:30 class. And essentially, that ate up a good portion of this journey from January 2021 to, we'll kind of fast forward here to the next image. This is around June 2022. I was doing CrossFit. Okay. Now I'll talk about my eating and whatnot in the next video, or in another video. But I'll tell you, it was pretty on point. It wasn't all over the place. I wasn't eating out. I was still vegetarian at this time, and if I didn't say that before, I was a vegetarian all the way up to that point. And I was a vegetarian before COVID and in shape. And again, even when I got out of shape, I was vegetarian. So just because you're vegetarian doesn't mean you eat healthy. There's plenty of crap to eat when you're vegetarian. And so anyway, was vegetarian during this time, but I was eating very regularly. I didn't really have cheat days. I had like one day, it was a kind of a cheat day, but I had a cheat meal instead, which was like cheese popcorn. Like I wasn't eating terrible. So my diet, kind of maintaining the steady diet, was helping through this journey, basically helping me not get worse. You can see here from the September June 2022, you know, I'm not looking spectacular, but I'm looking better than I was. And kind of looking back, you know, I got a lot smarter towards the end of this journey, which allowed me to make rapid gains. So I could have probably sped up the results, but you know, at this point in June 2022, I'm about 175-ish. So I'd already lost like 20 some odd pounds. I lost around 20 some odd pounds, and I'm probably a lot more muscular. I'm definitely a lot stronger than I was in the first picture. So the progress is there, and CrossFit was helping me do that. Now, as I got towards the end of 2022, I really started thinking about my journey because, you know, in the same light, the picture from 2020, the June 2022, is not a huge difference. And so that's one of the things I was kind of noticing. I was like, man, I'm doing all these high intensity workouts. Like I'm sweating my butt off. I'm getting in shape. I can tell I'm getting stronger or more conditioned, but I'm just not, like, I feel like I should be in way better shape than I am. And so I just started kind of thinking of other things, and I started getting exposed to other programs and other things out there, other fitness routines and things. And so what I ended up doing towards the end of 2022, I made a couple big decisions. I decided to, as I went into the new year of 2023, I was going to get more sleep, because one of the things that I think was affecting my ability to burn fat and put on muscle is the fact I really wasn't getting much sleep throughout all this, you know, 2 years of nearly 2 years of CrossFit, or year and a half of CrossFit. You know, I was getting up at 5:30 to get to the 6:30 class. Sometimes I wasn't getting to bed till midnight, 1 a.m. So I was averaging probably anywhere between 4.5 to 6.5 hours of sleep. You know, I'm in my 40s. I'm 46 now. You know, at this time I'm 44-ish, or I think, or whatever, something like that. And like, you need more rest. That's where all the growth, muscle growth happens, the repair happens. And I just wasn't getting enough. And so that was one of the things I wanted to change as I was going into 2023. I need to get more sleep, because I know the more I rest, that actually the more in shape I'll probably get, because that's a lot of repair, replenishment that happens, as mentioned. The next thing I wanted to do is, I wasn't getting stronger in CrossFit. One of the things I was noticing, I was getting very cardio conditioned, but a lot of the weight movements that I was doing in the CrossFit classes, I wasn't necessarily making good strides in strength gains. A lot of the weights I was using was the same weights I was using pretty much all year. It wasn't like, it was like I couldn't progress in my strength aspects. The cardio aspects, I was getting stronger and stronger, my cardio. So it was almost like the CrossFit was just more of cardio versus me getting stronger. And the more muscle you put on, the leaner you can get, right? The more body fat and everything you're going to burn. Now, another thing I also examined was my calories, and I wanted to start paying attention to that. So at the end of 2022, I also said I'm going to make a very strong effort to pay attention to my calories, to making sure I'm getting enough. And one of the things I also attribute to the fact that I wasn't gaining much strength throughout my CrossFit journey, on top of the sleep, on top of the strength training, was potentially not eating enough. So my body wasn't allowed to put on some growth because it was in more preserve mode. Okay, so as I go into, so I started making some of these changes. I started doing a little strength training, and started changing my diet the last 3 months of 2022. Going into 2023. And so at the beginning of January 2023, this is what I look like here. So as you can see, a little bit of a difference. You can tell I leaned up a little bit more, actually a little bit more abs showing, a little tiny bit more muscle. And then what I decided to do to kick off January 2023 is a true cut, and do it using strength training. So I started using weight training. So I transitioned from CrossFit at the beginning of January 2023 to doing a weight training program And I actually followed Papa when I'll drop it. Kino Body, I believe, is the one. It's what it's called. I don't remember which one it was called, the Masterclass or something like that. I decided to follow that just because I needed a plan. And it kind of had a nice 3-day-a-week workout I could easily do. It allowed me more rest time. I could do it. I joined a gym, and ultimately that allowed me to sleep in and get what my focus was, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a day. 7 to 9 was my non-negotiable. And I actually started getting kicked off the new year with getting around 8 hours of sleep, and hit weight training. I was doing that 3 times a week. And again, paying attention to my calories, making sure I was getting enough protein, all that good stuff I'll talk about in the next video. But from January 2023 here to March 2023, I finished the cut. And as you can tell, I leaned up fairly good at this point in March 2023. I had a DEXA scan. Did not do the DEXA scan here. Did the DEXA scan shortly after. I was a sub 10% body fat here. I was around 146 pounds. So to kick off January 2023, I'm around 155, 160-ish. And then in March 2023, which you see here, I'm around 146 when I finished that cut. I'm leaner. My strength had increased. I was documenting, and I still do, journaling my progression, which is something I didn't do throughout CrossFit. So keeping track of like, hey, if I lifted this last week, I need to be continuously overloading and putting on muscle. And so at the beginning of March, at the end of March 2023, I'm probably like 9-something% body fat. And as you can see, I'm leaner, and I can tell you I'm a lot stronger than I was during my CrossFit days as well. Now, after this, I stopped the cut and just kind of went to more of a maintenance, even a little surplus of calories to just not be in the cut, so I can just start letting my body kind of fill out a little bit more again, and continued the strength training. And then I'm always kind of looking for new things and challenging myself. And so one of the things I ultimately got into over the summer of this past year is the Kino Body guys came out with like a body weight program, like a hybrid where you do some weights, but also like calisthenics type stuff. And so I switched into that program and just tried that out, started doing that just to do something different, mix up. It was still 3-day-a-week gym routine, but it involved a lot more like pull-ups and dips and stuff like that, more calisthenics type stuff. And so I really enjoyed that. And then I started just following a lot of people on just started paying attention to calisthenics stuff, and started following a lot of people on Instagram. And the more things you follow on social media, the way it works, is the more you get exposed to those kind of things. And so in the end, I started looking at various calisthenics types programs and people to follow. A lot of these people just have different, routines and stuff on their profiles and stuff. And so I just started exploring that kind of stuff and ended up getting a few varieties of just trying out these programs. And so now what I've done, August, September-ish of 2023, started focusing on calisthenics programs in terms of the diet to just kind of match up where I'm at now. I'm not doing any kind of cut. I'm actually in a little bit surplus of maintenance, and now I'm focused on calisthenics. And so over doing a couple months of calisthenics, you can see here where I am in March. I started calisthenics in, like I said, August, September-ish. And so a couple months of calisthenics, and then I turned into this. This picture was fairly recent, just a few days ago. As you can see here, the difference between the cut at 146 and this other picture here, I'm about 156, 157, so I'm about 10 pounds heavier. As you can tell, my body is leaned out. I'd say fairly close to what I was during that cut. I have more muscle, I weigh more. I would not be surprised if I got back. I want to get a DEXA scan, but they're booked out pretty far. So I know I'm pretty lean, but one of the things I can tell you, I'm also way hell of a lot stronger than I was having focused on calisthenics than I was in the weight training, simply because I go all in. And so I'm doing impressive lifts and stuff that on pull-ups and the calisthenics type stuff than I was when I was doing weight training. Now, What I bench press right now, I have no idea, that kind of stuff. I haven't done shoulder press. I really haven't done much weighted stuff other than weighted dips and weighted pull-ups since switching over to calisthenics. So this is where I'm at right now. And so I can tell you this, there's a couple things that are key for you to make a transition that I've just learned over these last few years, that I know that I wish if I could just go back and start all over, the things I would pay attention to is, for one, sleep. Like, I'm prioritizing sleep now because I understand that rest is a huge component of your growth. If your body just thrives when you sleep. That's where everything gets repaired. Your muscles, like everything just gets rebuilt, repaired. That's where your growth happens during your rest. And actually, back to the calisthenics quick, I'm working out 5 times a week. I have 5 days. I work out 3 days, off 1, 2 days, off 1. And so I'm working out 5 days a week versus the 3 I was doing just when I was weight training. But I'll tell you this, just the 3 in the weight training was completely fine. I was continuously progressing in my lifts. But because I'm doing calisthenics involves some skill work, I'm just working out more frequently so I can work on those skills. So anyway, back to what I would do if I started all over again. Sleep, prioritize. Make sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep. It doesn't matter how old you are. 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Be in that window, that range at least, if you want to maximize your body's potential and get stronger in the gym, which is going to help you ultimately get strong. You don't even have to work out in the gym, but just help you get stronger, get healthier, which is going to in turn help you burn more fat and help your body just be more efficient. Okay. The next thing I do is incorporate progressive overload and track it. So again, the CrossFit journey, I probably could have gotten stronger had I been paying attention to the various lifts and documenting and journaling, right? Instead of I was probably using the same weight. I wasn't consistent on what weights I was using because CrossFit is varied. Like, it varied so much that, next time you do squats, like, it had been weeks since I had done squats prior in a workout, and I couldn't remember what I used that time. You know what I'm saying? You're doing different reps and sets and stuff. And so just paying attention to what you're lifting and making sure each future session from there, you're continuously trying to progress. That's where your body's going to put on the strength and put on the muscle. The more muscle you have, the leaner, the easier it is to be lean. Okay. Your diet plays a huge piece in this, but so does maximizing. If I'm doing activity, movement, strength training, working out, like, that enhances my ability to put on muscle and get lean. And so paying attention and making sure you're progressively overloading your muscles is a key component in growing your muscles. Okay. A third thing is the diet. Again, I'm gonna have a whole video on that, is paying attention to make sure, in my case, I wasn't eating enough. So making sure you get enough protein, making sure you get enough carbs, make sure you get enough calories. That's a big thing, and I'll talk about that in the next video, how I track and how I adjusted and the plan that I use to lean up and to put on muscle and weight. But paying attention to your diet is a huge piece of that. Making sure that you are incorporating strength training. I keep saying strength, weight training into your workouts. Again, CrossFit did do that, but there was a huge cardio influence there. Making sure that you're taking time to lift heavy, occasionally throughout the week, is going to be key, again, to help making sure that you're putting on muscle, which is going to help your body lean out, help you burn fat, and help your just conditioning overall. So again, sleep, progressive overload with weight training, and paying attention to your calories is really the key components of growing. And so that's essentially how I went from this to this here. And again, I'm in some of the best shape that I've ever been. On the left here, how old am I? I'm 42, I think, in that picture. 46 or 42 or 43, and 46 where I am now, and in some of the best shape that I've ever been in my life, both aesthetically and physically. All right. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, this transformation. Hope it wasn't too boring, but I wanted to take you through the whole journey, kind of see the ups and downs. the next video, and this little kind of series here I'm going to talk about is the eating aspect of it, the diet, how that dramatically influenced this transformation as well. Just again, to put this information out there to maybe help some people or just give some people some idea of the journey I went through, maybe helps them out. Hey, interested to know, what kind of stuff you do when you're working out, or what kind of stuff led you to some of your biggest transformations. Feel free to comment below, like, share, or whatever you want to do with this, subscribe. I'm going to have more stuff than just business entrepreneur stuff. I want to start putting like more fitness, health stuff, maybe some more finance stuff out there, just more stuff going on in my life and things that I care about. I'm very passionate about health and fitness because there's no better, I've never been in a better mood personally, positively, than when I'm working out, which just has never influenced which has always positively influenced everything, all aspects of my life. The healthier I am, the more physically fit I am, it's always positively impacted every other aspect of my life. And I want to get this out there, so hopefully you guys can feel the same way. And yeah, with that, I'll just see you in another video. All right, cheers.